Good day, everyone. I am Hero Franco Quizol, and in this presentation, I'll be talking about sharks. Sharks, particularly the larger species which are more scary to human, play an important role in ocean ecosystems. Sharks, along with their relatives, were the first vertebrate predators, and their prowess, which is honed for millions of years, allows them to hunt as the top predator and keep the ecosystem in balance. There are more than 500 species of sharks swimming in the world's ocean. However, most people associate this cartilaginous fish with one image in mind: a large, sharp-toothed, and frightening beast. This generalization does a great injustice to sharks because sharks are far more diverse and plays an important role than that. So in this presentation, I'll first present the taxonomical hierarchy of sharks, and then I'll discuss what are true sharks and the orders that belong to these classification. I'll also delve into the distinguishing characteristics, the families, and some of the Philippine representatives under these orders. Then I'll tackle the distribution of sharks worldwide, and finally, I'll discuss the adaptive structures and mechanisms of these cartilaginous fishes. So to start, I'll first present to you the taxonomy of sharks. And in this slide, you can see the taxonomical hierarchy of sharks. And as you can see, sharks belong to the kingdom Animalia, subkingdom Bilateria, infrakingdom Deuterostomia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, infraphylum Natostomata, superclass Chondrichthyes, class Chondrichthyes, and subclass Elasmobranchi. So fishes are generally divided into two major groups, which is based on the type of skeleton that they have. So the first group is the Osteichthyes or class Osteichthyes, and the second group is class Chondrichthyes. So Osteichthyans have their skeleton made up of bones. This is why they are called bony fishes. Meanwhile, the Chondrichthyes has a cartilaginous skeleton. This is why they are called cartilaginous fishes. And furthermore, the class Chondrichthyes is then further divided into two subclasses, which is the holocephaly and elasmobranchi. So holocephaly is comprised by chimeras, meanwhile the elasmobranchi is comprised by skates, rays, and sharks. So So subclass Elasmobranchi is still a subject of continuous debate among taxonomists until now. However, they are generally divided into two major groups, which is the superorder Gallomorphi and superorder Squalomorphi. So the superorder Gallomorphi, or the Gallomorphs, they are also called Gallia or Gallians, is comprised by the orders Heterodontiformes, order Lamniformes, order Orectolobiformes, and order Carcharhiniformes. So the other superorder, which is the superorder Squalimorphi, or the Squalimorphs, is comprised by the orders Hexanchiformes, order Squaliformes, order Squantiniformes, order Pristioformes, and order Regiformes. So despite being under the superorder Squalimorphi, the order Regiformes or the Batoids will not be discussed in this presentation, as this presentation will only focus on true sharks. So what are true sharks? So true sharks are characterized So, true sharks are characterized by first a fusiform body shape or a spindle-like shape which is wide in the middle and tapers at the ends. The next characteristic is the 5 to 7 gill openings at the side of the head or laterally positioned. And true sharks have a 1 to 2 dorsal fin or with or without spine. And the next characteristic is an anal fin in most species. So true sharks finally is characterized by a well-developed. So the next order is the order Lamniformes or the mackerel sharks. So their defining characteristics are first, their eyes are located on the sides without dictating folds. The second is the presence of an anal fin. And the third is their mouth extends towards behind the eyes. And the presence of two small spiracles which are also located behind the eyes. The presence of two spineless dorsal fins. And finally, their heads are conical in shape and not expanded laterally. So there are seven families under this order, and only the family Metsocorinidae or the goblin sharks are not reported here to occur here in the Philippines. And as you can see, presented as well in these slides are pictures of Philippine representatives of these orders. So the first is the great white sharks, the second is the basking sharks, and finally the megamouth sharks. So the next order is the order Orectolobiformes or the carpet sharks. So their defining characteristics are first, the presence of two dorsal fins which are spineless and of the same size, except for zebra sharks and whale sharks, which their second dorsal fins are much larger than the first, the presence of anal fin, the presence of nasal grooves and barbels, the presence of spiracles. So there are seven families as well in this order, and only the family Brachyluridae or the goblin sharks have not been reported to occur here in the Philippines. So again, as you can see in this slide, there are three Philippine representatives under this order. The brown banded bamboo sharks, the ornate wobbegong, and whale sharks. So for the last order under superorder Galeomorphi is the order Carchariniformes or the ground sharks. Their defining characteristics are first, the nictating eyelids, second is the presence of two spineless dorsal fins, the presence of an anal fin, the presence of five gill slits, which the last one to three extends over the pectoral fins, and finally, their mouth extend towards behind the eyes. So there are eight families in this order, and only the family Leptocaridae or the barbelled hound shark is has not been recorded to occur here in the Philippines. So again, as you can see in this slide is the three species which are representative of this order. So the black tip reef shark, the coral cut shark, and the smooth hammerhead. So for the first order under the superorder Scoliformes is the order Hexanchiformes or the cow and frilled sharks. Their defining characteristics are first, the presence of an anal fin, the presence of dorsal fins, their heads are slightly depressed, their nasal grooves are separated, their notable large mouth, and finally, their labial furrows are separated. So there are two families under this order, and only the family Hixanchidae is represented here in the Philippines. And here, there are three representative species of the order Hixanchiformes, the big-eyed six-gill shark, the sharp-nosed seven-gill shark, the blunt-nosed six-gill sharks. The next order is the order Squaliformes or the dogfish sharks. So their defining characteristics are first, the absence of anal fin, the presence of spiracles, the presence of dorsal fins, and their lateral line canal are closed. So there are seven families under this order, and only the family Somniosidae or the slipper sharks and the family Oxynotidae or the rough sharks are not represented here in the Philippines. So here we can see three Philippine representatives of this order, the cookie cutter shark, the Japanese spur dog, and the black belly lantern shark. Next is the order Pristioforiformes or the saw sharks. Their defining characteristics are first, the long flat blade snout with alternate large and small rostral teeth embedded on each side, a pair of barbels, the absence of anal fin, and their enlarged spiracles. So there is only one family in this order, which is the family Pristioforidae, and the Philippine representatives of this order are the long-nosed saw sharks or the common saw sharks, the Japanese saw sharks, and Lana's saw sharks. So for the last order, which is considered as a true shark under the superorder Squalimorphi, is the order Scontiniformes or the angel sharks. They can be identified with their ray-like body shape. Their eyes are located on the dorsal side. Their mouth are almost terminal, and a presence of barbels on the anterior margin side, and their broad wing-like pectoral fins, and finally is their hypoceral caudal fins. So there is only one family in this order, which is the family Scontinidae, and here we can see three Philippine representatives of this order: the Philippine angel shark, the Taiwanese angel shark, and the Japanese angel shark. Sharks live in all oceans and seas of the planet. They usually live in salt water, but some species such as the bull sharks and the Ganges sharks can live in freshwater lakes and rivers for a while. Their presence in any part of the world exhibits their adaptability and is an indicative of the vast variety of species that exist. From warm waters to polar seas, sharks can live in variety of habitats in varying depths, temperatures, light conditions, and even salinity. Some sharks prefer to live in shallow waters or near the coast, while others prefer to live in open seas, deep waters, and even oceanic floors. Sharks are not stationary creatures. Most shark species may migrate to mate. Sharks are not stationary creatures. Most shark species migrate to mate, so when it's time to reproduce, they travel in long distances. As a result, just because a certain species was not seen in a particular area for a while, it doesn't mean that the sharks are not there or can't be there anymore. The first adaptation for the sharks is, of course, their skeletal structure. Shark's skeleton is made up of cartilage and connective tissues. This is also applicable for other cartilaginous fish such as skates and rays. Cartilage is long-lasting but is only half the weight of a bone. Therefore, this saves the energy by reducing the weight of the skeleton. The next adaptation is the shape of the body. The body of the shark is typically elongated and fusiform, which is rounded and tapering at both ends. Because of this, the body shape reduces water resistance and drag. Therefore, swimming requires the least energy and swimming is necessary for maintaining the buoyancy. For the next adaptation is the dermal denticles. The dermal denticles, or the sharp scales that covers the most shark species skin, also aid in reducing the drag. Placoid scales may create a series of whirlpool behind each scales as the shark or the batoid swims. These denticles, like the teeth, provide protection and are replaced throughout the lives of the sharks. A shark can swim more efficiently because of this adaptation. The next adaptation is, of course, the camouflage. The majority of sharks have dark bodies and pale bellies. From below, their underside blend with the pale sky, and from above, their brown or black or gray backs blend with the deeper water. Another adaptation for the sharks is the components of their internal organs. First is the oil-filled liver. Sharks, unlike bony fishes, have a large oil-filled liver containing the natural organic compound scoline, which is, along with their cartilaginous skeleton, helps them to maintain the neutral buoyancy and avoid floating or sinking. Another adaptation is within the blood and tissues of the sharks. Sharks, unlike any other bony fishes, have high concentration of trimethylamine N oxide and urea in their blood, which allows them to maintain osmotic balance and survive in seawater. Another adaptations are mostly located in the head of the sharks. So first is the eyes. Shark eyes have a tissue called tapetum lucidum that helps them reflect light to the retina and it increases the visibility of in the dark. It gives them the impressions of their eyes that glow in the dark, just like the cat's. In dim lights, the shark's tapetum lucidum allows it to see 10 times better than a human. The tapetum acts as a retroreflector, reflecting the light back along the path of travel. This maintains the sharpness and contrast of the image and on the retina by matching the original and reflected light in the tapetum lucidum. The tapetum lucidum reflects light with constructive inference, allowing more light to pass through retina. The next adaptation is their jaws. Their jaws are reinforced by one or more layers of hexagonal crystalline plates known as the tesserae. This tesserae is made up of calcium salts. Due to its high level of physical stress on the jaw surface requires additional strength. These structures provide these areas with a lot of the same strength as bony tissues in other animals. Sharks' jaws typically have only one layer of tesserae, but large specimens like the bull shark, tiger shark, and the great white shark have 2 or 3 layers or more depending on the body size. A great white shark jaw can have up to 5 layers of tesserae. The next adaptation is on the nose. The nasal openings, which are located beneath the snout, are made up of 2 olfactory sacs that allow them to detect scents from a long distance. A drop of blood can be detected by sharks from hundreds of meters away. Some sharks, such as the great white shark, can detect blood in seawater in 1 part per million. For the next adaptation is in their snout. The shark snout is cartilage and is flexible and spongy, which helps them to observe impact during hunting and when they are attacked by other predators. Sharks can detect prey in a variety of ways. Located in their snout also is the ampullae of Lorenzini. These sensory organs are able to pick up electric signals from potential prey. This Lorenzini is found on the snouts of the shark. The ampullae are a network of electroreceptors, which are sensory organs that can detect electric fields in the water. The ampullae are a series of symmetrical pores connected by gel-filled canals that are concentrated around the snout and the nose. Because they can conduct such small electrical impulses, sharks are likely to be more sensitive to electric fields than any other animal in the group. These electroreceptors enable sharks and rays to detect other organisms in waters such as prey because all muscle contractions produce a weak electrical field. For the caudal fin, the upper and lower lobes of the caudal fin can be different sizes and shapes depending on the species. The caudal fin, or it can be heterocercal or homocercal, is primarily used to provide thrust. The caudal fin's upper lobe generates most thrust, and at least some of it would be pushed and the sharks downward. The pectoral fins and the body shape work together to provide lift to counter this force. Most benthic shark species have strong non-lunate caudal fin that allows them to swim freely close to the seabed. Fast-swimming sharks, such as the macos and the porbeagles, have lunate-shaped caudal fins which correspond to the need for maximum thrust. The caudal fin moves upward as it moves and back and forth to propel the shark forward. The shark's head points toward as the caudal fin continues to lift. The overall effect of the caudal fin motion is forward and downward movement.